And by the way, I tweeted this out, and I'm glad that I'm on a British station, but I'll say it, and I'm glad people are getting upset. They should get upset. Antifa are the only Brits left who are fighting for their values. And it very much saddens me to see this.
What are you basing that on?
Because Andy No just had this tweet about there's this march, and Antifa saying, get ready for direct action, so on and so forth. I'm like, they're doing something about what they care about.
Well, I don't think that I'm not going to give this example as an opposite to Antifa, but it is the case that this weekend gone, there was something called the Raising the Colours, where up and down the country, Brits have been putting up the Cross of St. George, the Union flag up and down the nation. Not only that, over the last month, there have been protests up and down the nation outside hotels where illegal immigrants are being housed. And the British people are standing up. And I think that those Brits are very much standing up. Now, they're not using, on the fringes, there's maybe one or two who are a little violent, but I would say the vast majority are not using violence in the same way that Antifa use violence. And they are standing up for the British values.
And who's winning?
Who's winning?
Yeah. You conquered the world. And now you're just scared to get your hands dirty. And you're letting yourselves be bent over without the benefit of lube. And as someone who is an admirer of the British people, and as someone, as you know, who you saw them with your own eyes, has Margaret Thatcher's bookcases in his living room, which is my big moment as an immigrant, realizing I've made it, it is disheartening, and I don't even know what other negative words to say, to watch what is going on over here. It is just shocking to me.
What are you seeing?
Submission. And it to such an extent, I'm going to say this. You're not allowed to say it, and other people in this country can't say it. The British Empire was more good than harm, and you got to stop apologizing for this. It's a very there's pluses and there's minuses. It's not all negative. And it's insane that this is something that the Brits somehow have to feel the need to constantly say, like, you were worse than the Nazis. It's crazy to me.
Yes. That you're right.
And you should be proud of this. I had Count Dankula on my show. How many people live in Scotland? The accomplishments of the Scottish people for the impact of the world, they should all have their shoulders aching from patting themselves on the back so much. Like, it's crazy to me that in this, I was talking to Sargon, Carl Benjamin, the last British PM who loved this country was Thatcher. And that is so disheartening to see, because if I can make the case about how great Great Britain is, everyone in this country should be able to do the same thing. It's not hard.
Yes. Well, I think that there's going to be a pushback, a patriotic pushback. I see it re-emerging.
Okay.
I think that it is.
Well, from your words to God's ears.
I guess
God save the king, I guess you say now.
Save the king.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right that this actually goes back to the post-World War II consensus, but the sort of anti-empire, anti-colonialism, I think that emerged because of these philosophers like Popper, and it became part of that consensus, and it got conflated with the Nazis, I guess, and what happened on the continent. Actually, part of it was because of the Americans. So during the war, it was the Atlantic Charter that Churchill was made to sign by FDR about a commitment for no more, that all people should have their own sovereignty, which I guess I of course support that.
Sure.
But that was a bit part of it, and the sort of beginning of that process happening, and a kind of movement away from of that. So it came from America a little bit also.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm no FDR fan. The man was as crippled in spirit as he was in body.
Say that again.
The man was as crippled in spirit as he was in body.
You have to elaborate.
No, I don't.
Why was he so crippled in spirit?
Because he's a horrible human being. How the fact that he is like buddying up with Stalin at Churchill's expense is insane. And he did it repeatedly. It was, and again, going back to Thatcher, she was reminded of this during her prime ministership, because she had to stand back while Reagan and Gorbachev were kind of buddying, and she's just like realizing, I'm not a lot of clout here. I'm going to be the low man on the totem pole. And they made Churchill feel that very much, during all those meetings.
So
wait, is my understanding correct that people in the UK don't think he's awesome anymore?
Churchill?
Yeah.
I think that there's been a big anti-Churchill movement that has come from the radical left mainly, but also a lot of the mainstream left. They, instead of talking about, they won't even acknowledge anything good he did, like defeating the Nazis, for example, but they will emphasize that he was, or they'll claim he was a great racist, and there's a total revisionism about various things.
Do they think that all those young men storming Normandy were like urban feminists? They were all racists. Like, what are they talking about? This is the 40s. This is the 30s. And I don't think, I'm not a Churchill historian, I don't think a big part of his prime ministership was endorsing or increasing racial oppression. Am I correct?
I don't think it was at all.
Okay.
And actually, if you look at the war, I mean, there was a great war effort from across the empire. Just a fantastic book by Sir Trevor Phillips, who documents the Jamaicans who came to Britain to fight with the British against the Nazis. And it was a multiracial effort on behalf of the all people from across the empire.
Mussolini conquered Ethiopia. The Allies freed them. As one very easy example.
Yeah, quite. But yeah, there's a very strange revisionism going on with him, and it's I think a deliberate attempt to undermine the foundational myth, because he sort of is a foundational myth. Of course. You saw this. An equivalent would be on the left in America with the 1619 Project.
Oh yes,
it's another way of, if you get right to the foundational.
That's right. It's a smart
move.
The
thing that. The foundation stone on which the whole edifice has been built, then you can actually cause real chaos and be effective. It's actually happening on the American right as well. There's a lot of chat, I've seen it, on the American right. It's kind of like a neo-Irvingism going on. That Churchill was the true villain of World War II. We've seen this on major podcasts. I don't need to name names. I think everyone listening knows. And that's pretty shocking to hear. Do you have any insight about why that's happening from the right in America?
Yes, because if you are going to oppose internationalism, the globalists, right, as Alex Jones would say, that foundational myth is the post-World War II consensus. It's the idea that the lesson that we, air quotes we, all learned was that nationalism leads to Hitlerism and genocide. So we have to have this UN globalist multinational coalitions at any time to make sure that can never happen again. So if you're going to undermine that, and I think that is an idea that does need a lot of undermining, because the premise that the U.S. has to have its finger in every pot everywhere in the world is insane to me. Although there's clearly cases where one side is morally better than the other. It's not always like it's not our problem. Sometimes, yeah, there are good guys here. There are bad guys. Doesn't mean it's our responsibility or that we even have the capacity to kind of resolve this case. If you're going to undermine that, you have to undermine the World War II heroic narrative.
Thanks for watching this clip from The Winston Marshall Show. You can click here to watch the full episode, and for more clips like this one, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be well.